Welcome to Power Your Story podcast. Today I'm with me, Corey, Edgar, Adrian, Leo, and Christian. And our guest panelists are Maya, Aden, and Donovan. And today we're going to be talking about all types of horror movies, from your best genres, from the best characters in scary movies, and so on. Now, starting off with my topic is going to be famous horror movies. In my opinion, I feel like the best or the most famous horror movie would be like Halloween. I just recently watched it and it was good. And I feel like a lot of people, know about Halloween, especially like the suspense and like the gore and how they continued it over the years and up to this day. What do you guys think?
One really big famous movie that I feel like is more common in like the household of like horror movies is probably Scream. Courtney Cox was in it, and I like Courtney Cox a lot from like Friends, so that also made it really interesting.
I think I know one. I think it's called The Ring thing, with the big guys in the TV and something like that.
So this one, I don't know how famous it is, but I've talked to a lot of people and they said they know it. It's called The Exorcist, and it's basically about this girl who gets possessed by a demon. And so she has to go to a priest. Basically, the priest is going to like use his like, I guess, magic in quotation marks to like cast like the demon out. And according to my dad, it was like the scariest horror movie he like ever saw in his entire life. And as a matter of fact, I actually like went to Georgetown, Virginia, and I saw a staircase. It's apparently like a really famous staircase where they like filmed a scene in the movie from The Exorcist. And it was actually pretty like scary. Like it was really like dark and like shadowy. So I could definitely see that like being in a horror movie.
The next person who's going to be talking is going to be Edgar.
Okay, now let's talk about funny horror movies. I think the most hilarious horror movie is Scary Movie. It had the same antagonist as Scream, but the main difference is, the mask keeps on changing into weird looking faces. But the most infamous thing has to be the what's up team when they pick up the phone and say what's up. You get what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, same.
So this one's like a bit more recent. I actually forgot when it came out, but it's called Freaky. And basically what happens is that this girl like switches bodies like a serial killer. So basically like she's a serial killer and she's like walking around. Like the serial killer is really well known for like being a serial killer. So everyone's like freaking out like, oh my God. And on the other hand, the serial killer is a girl, and the girl has like a really innocent looking appearance. So she's able to get away with like a lot of like murder. I'm going to be honest, like going into this movie, I didn't think it was really going to be scary, but I was actually really surprised by like how gory the horror movie violence was. But I thought it was still pretty funny. It had like quite a few like good jokes in there. It was like a bit more fun.
I have one too. I'd say
Okay, then.
Chucky.
Chucky.
It's not meant to be funny, but it's just funny how the people die because it's just like you just gotta kick them. But you're like you fell on the ground and you let him stab you. So it's kind of hilarious to me how that happens. And like a lot of the slasher movies, the older slasher movies where they fall on the ground and it's like you could have very easily escaped that situation. It's comedic a little. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, I gotta say another one, definitely Leprechaun. Leprechaun was definitely a funny horror movie. It wasn't even trying to be scary. I mean, all the sequels, they brought a Leprechaun to space. Those movies were absolutely hilarious.
Adrian, besides funny horror movies, what are some other genres you had to know about?
One genre is monster movies.
Goosebumps, maybe? I mean, I don't know if that much of that's a horror movie, but I definitely thought it was like scary, and there's like a lot of like different monsters than that one.
Oh, okay, Maya. Werewolves, vampires.
Mummies.
Yeah, thank you, mummies.
So a different style of horror movie genres that I believe counts is like horror sci-fi. Like it's one of those horror movies that are based like science and scary movies about it, like Aliens versus Predators or like something relating.
I watched that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I feel like there's actually a very distinct difference between like gory horror movies and like psychological horror movies. And here's what I mean. Like, let's take, for example, like Halloween. Like in Halloween, there's a lot of kills. There's like a lot of scary, like body horror and stuff like that. But then there's like this book by Stephen King called The Shining that got turned into a movie. Now, as The Shining doesn't have like a lot of like gory body horror. It has some, but not really as much as like Halloween. But it's more like psychological, you know, like there's basically like a lot of these supernatural forces, and it's scary because basically like the plot of the movie is that these people get like trapped in the hotel at like these supernatural forces. It's really scary because like, you know, you can't really control it. So there's like a feeling of like adrenaline, like there's like sort of like a fear. And also it feels like a bit more real as like compared to like Halloween, which is basically like a serial killer like runs loose and like kills like an entire town. And I think that's also like that's like how I sort of distinguish those two, like sort of like body horror, like straight up gore versus like psychological.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Hey Leo, who are your favorite Halloween characters?
So my favorite Halloween characters would be Freddy Krueger, Jason, and Jigsaw.
Oh, okay.
For me, it's Ghostface.
Ghostface, okay.
Huh.
Yep, from any horror film, Halloween movies, something like that.
Definitely
that's-
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good one.
Okay,
I gotta
guys.
say, Beetlejuice. That's another.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a
okay.
classic.
What?
Yeah.
You know, I've so badly wanted to watch Beetlejuice. I've never gotten around to like watching that one. And I've like seen so many TikToks and so many like musical like recreations of the songs. And like I really want to watch like so bad.
Probably Megan.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I
She's
watched it
definitely
already. Yeah.
iconic.
That movie is good. And okay.
Let's go to the speed round.
What do you think are the best horror movies of all time?
I gotta say, Scream 6.
Oh,
I love the new wave of horror movie and how they directed and how it was good. They even got the best actors, Jenny Ortega, like that Wednesday one. That's great.
Oh,
And
Wednesday, I gotta
Yeah,
go
it's
watch
like-
it.
it's awesome.
what scary movies you scared the most?
This actually was an actual movie, but it was a trailer for a movie, and it was called Evil Dead Rise. And I swear I could not sit through that trailer. Like normally they'll like tease a kill, and then it'll be like coming this Friday on October 31st. But like they actually like show the kills, and I'll tell you what, I spent most of that trailer with my head inside of my hoodie.
Me, Adrian versus Petardo.
Final Destination.
Oh, it's been a long time. I think one of the Child's Play movies.
Huh. I gotta say the second Saw because for some reason I found that DVD when I was really young and I really shouldn't have because that messed me up bad.
Okay, I have a lot. So first is the Poughkeepsie tapes. It came out in 2007. Then Megadeth's Missing. Then The Void 2017. And Jeepers Creepers, the first one. That messed me up when I was a little kid.
The Human Centipede. That's it's just like uncomfortable. It's weird too.
What scary movie do you really hate the most that you wish it didn't appear in theaters?
The truth is, I don't hate none of the scary movies. Like I like them. They're very interesting and the acting is good. And the sound of the movie and the characters are so good.
I
Yeah.
got one.
Me
I
too.
do too.
Winnie the Pooh, and it's like a newer rendition, and they just run around killing people in Winnie the Pooh mask, and it's just like, come on, you could do a lot better than that. There has to be something better than this. Like
Me personally?
it's terrible to me.
Me personally, I just gotta agree with Aden on that part. Also, Rob Zombie's first Halloween reboot was absolutely terrible. It took the franchise to such a mediocre part that I just wish it never exists. Simple as that. That movie was terrible. It's solely the name of Halloween.
I've got one. It kind of has a bad name in like the title, so I'm not going to say it on the podcast. But basically, what it's about is about these aliens that like come. Like basically, there's this dude and he like solves a puzzle blocks, and then they come down and they like torture him and they like cut him up into pieces. And honestly, it's from the 80s, and it was apparently like a huge pinnacle in like horror, and it has all of these like fan counts now. And like basically, it was really hokey. Like it was trying to scare you, but it really wasn't. I think that's just because it had 80s effects. But it was also really gross, and I was just like, ugh, like it was really unsettling. And also, like, there's a family that basically just like gets like torn apart in that movie, and I'm just like, no, thank you. Like family lives, not family no vibes.
For me, it has to be Terrifier. I wish I'd never seen it in the first place. Do you believe that aliens are real or not? Some say it's a rumor, some say they don't. Who knows?
I think that 9.9 that the aliens are alive.
I think it's
Um,
real. I think aliens are real, just like Area 51.
My dad has this really interesting theory about ancient Egypt. He believes that the ancient Egyptians, like, they didn't build the pyramids, they didn't like build like everything that's sort of like iconically associated with their civilization. Rather, they inherited like those pyramids. And I actually found that really interesting because there's a lot of like theories going around that people believe that aliens actually built the pyramids because they're like so like high tech and like advanced and like architecture. And I mean, like, I feel like there's like some truth to that because I've like sort of heard stories about like how humans like built the pyramids. And I feel like there's a lot of like holes in those stories, like, certain aspects of how they were built that I feel like people sort of can't really explain. And so that's why I sort of like feel like maybe aliens could have like built the pyramids.
Okay, so if you could be in any scary movie, what would you pick? I would probably want to be in Chucky because I feel like just kick him. Like I don't know why people scared of him.
Oh, I got one. I would say the movie It. I would like to fight Pennywise.
I would be in any scary movie, and I would be. Who should I be? Like, I should be a zombie.
There's so many zombie movies.
I could
What?
be in Slenderman collecting that 8 page. I'll probably run fast. He couldn't catch me.
If I could be in any horror movie, it would be one of two. Either I'd want to be in Scream because of Jenna Ortega, and I absolutely like love Jenna Ortega. I would just adore working with her, or The Shining, like a sequel of The Shining or something, just because I really like the movie. And my dad sort of also explained the book to me, and I thought it was really interesting. Like I sort of like to be like Danny because in like The Shining, Danny has like these special like mind powers. We can like talk to people who are like in totally different locations. And I just be like, if I could have those powers, that'd be like so cool.
Power Your Story podcast is produced by Chicago High School students with production support from After School Matters and the Created Impostor Studio. I'm Christian. This episode was also produced by Corey, Edgar, Adrian, and Leo. Special guests Maya, Aden, and Donovan. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Power Your Story Podcast and visit our website at poweryourstorypodcast.com. Thank you for listening. Ooh, Casper is coming for you so you could listen to Power Your Story. Ooh.